3,596 episodes, nearly 20,000 guests.
And unfortunately, not everyone listens to my advice.
A catfish victim.
I devoted 3 hours to convince this woman she was being lied to. I even introduced her to the real man behind the photos on stage. And his name is not Fred. His real name is Mark.
Fred resembles this gentleman, Mark, but it wasn't Fred. Fred has a lazy eye.
Now, she's still hooked on Fred.
He's my fiancé, and I need to get him home from Jamaica.
He's been tied up with a rope. He's been beat with a tire iron, beat up by gangsters on the border. There aren't any borders in Jamaica. It's an island.
I've tried and I've tried to get him back to the States.
He doesn't have money to eat, but he's got green fees to be playing golf. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today is going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
Get ready to take care of you. Thank you much. You know, for the past 20 seasons, I've started every episode with the quote, "Today is going to be a changing day in your life." I've wanted my platform to be a teaching tool for others and for my guests to leave this stage with a better understanding than when they arrived. Now, we filmed over 3,596 episodes with nearly 20,000 guests. And unfortunately, not everyone listens to my advice. How could that be? Some disagree and others flat out disregard what I have to say, which is, of course, they're right. Sometimes people who nodded their heads and agreed with me on this very stage go home and fall right back into old patterns. And so today, I'm trying one more time with a few of my favorites who, well, just basically didn't listen to a damn word I said. 2 years ago, my first guest, Lois, acknowledged she was being scammed by not one, not two, but 3 men she was talking to online. I took the time to show her in the first ever 3-part series we aired. I devoted 3 hours to convince this woman she was being lied to. So I thought. The first man Lois said she was in love with was the general. And I brought in a renowned expert to show her that the white money she claimed he sent her was fake. Take a look, you'll remember this. You say that she's lost $100,000.
Yes, maybe even more. One of the first people that I met was the general. I fell in love with him. He served in the military and he needed help getting his luggage back to the United States.
Apparently the Afghanistan government was so grateful to the general for his service that they rewarded him with a suitcase full of gold, diamonds, and cash, in which he was going to send to my mother for safekeeping.
I paid approximately $70,000 to get his luggage, but instead he brought me white cash. In order to use it, I have to put a solvent on it to make it usable cash. This cash is real $100 bills.
What my sister got was a suitcase of counterfeit money.
This is how the rebels hide their money.
Lois was nervous to travel with the white money. We sent a courier service to transport it in the safe that she kept it in. Inside are 2 bundles of white money. These are $100 bills that have been treated in some way, right?
Yes, you have to put a solution.
That's a $100 bill and it's under this coating, right?
Should be.
Well. Oh, coming apart. We actually brought in an expert in fraud detection who spent 22 years in the Secret Service.
This is called a black money scam. What he did is he took an actual $100 bill. He had it coded, washed it, showed it to you. Then he tells you those others that are coded are also $100 bills.
Do you notice it's not even the same size as a $100 bill? Is all our money the same size?
Oh, all your genuine currency is the same size.
Would this be a red flag?
That would be a real red flag, yes.
All right, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, after the general, there was another man Lois was seeing, Paul Shaw. And I even introduced her to the real man behind the photos on stage who confirmed his identity had been stolen. Take a look at this. Lois says her fiance, Paul, flew to Africa to claim the $2 million inheritance that Uncle Andrew left in his will. Lois says since arriving in Africa, the government has given Paul a hard time, and she has been worried about him because he is unsafe, living in and out of hotels, and can't afford food. Well, Paul Shaw and Angela Shaw are father and daughter. Here's what they look like. This is who you've been talking to. And here's what we've discovered. The real man behind this photo is not Paul. His name is Stephen. Come on out, Stephen. How you doing, sir?
Thanks.
Good to meet you. Lois, this is your Paul. Is your name Paul?
No, it's not.
Ever been stuck in Africa?
No, but I'd like to visit sometime.
Do you believe, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Paul is not real?
Well, I can see now, yes, with them here, yes.
Lastly, there was Fred Adler, a man Lois thought had died because she was talking to him, then he disappeared, only to resurface after 3 months. Take a look at this.
I met a guy online a few months ago named Fred. My nickname was Strawberry. Sorry. I named him Chocolate. Last time I spoke, he was in New York City. All of a sudden, he vanished, and I thought he died. About a week ago, he texted me.
Well, we did research, and joining us from North Carolina is the man in those photos. And his name is not Fred. His real name is Mark. Have you been talking to her?
I'm sorry to say it's not me.
Somebody in Nigeria stole his picture and used it. Mark, have you been to Africa?
No, sir.
That's interesting.
Do you believe that you're being scammed?
Maybe with Fred.
Can we cross Fred off the list?
Yes.
For 100% sure.
Yes.
But you realize Paul's not real, right?
Right.
Fred's not real.
Right.
Okay.
I haven't even thought of that.
Okay. But you get that, right?
Yes.
Well, while you just witnessed Lois agree with me on this stage that Fred Adler was not real, a few things have changed after she returned home. Just 2 weeks ago, Lois called my producer to give us an update.
It's been over 2 years since I sat down with Dr. Phil. I wanted to know what was going on with my relationship with the General, Fred, and Paul.
I brought my mother onto Dr. Phil because I thought that if he couldn't convince her she was being scammed, then nobody could.
Even though I told Dr. Phil I was being scammed, I really don't feel like that was the case. One of the men I was involved with was the General. What Dr. Phil did on stage, he tried to prove to me that the money was fake.
Despite Dr. Phil bringing on an expert to prove to her that the infamous white money was indeed not real, she still believes that it is.
That money could be real, as far as I know, because it takes a special solution from France. Another man I was involved with was Paul. Dr. Phil found a guy that looked like Paul. In my eyes, the guy I met on stage wasn't Paul. It wasn't Paul because Paul sent me a photo of himself later that said, "I love Lois." Another one of my online romances was with Fred. Dr. Phil introduced me to a guy on stage.
And his name is not Fred. His real name is Mark.
Fred resembles this gentleman, Mark, but it wasn't Fred. The reason why I knew it wasn't Fred is because Fred has a lazy eye. This is Fred, and I feel like he has a lazy left eye. I have never felt like I've ever been scammed by Fred. I feel like Fred is a good, honest man. What Dr. Phil wanted me to do was stay clear from the internet for a while. He did not want me to talk to anyone online. I disregarded Dr. Phil's advice because I didn't feel like Fred was scamming me.
She's still in constant contact with Fred.
Fred is just a good, honest Christian man. We call or text each other every day. My entire world revolves around Fred.
Lois says Fred is now in Jamaica, struggling to survive, and she's just completely distraught. Lois says ever since arriving in Jamaica, Fred has been experiencing, well, a lot of problems. And she wants my help again.
Last year, Fred was doing a road and bridge construction in Africa. He could not get access to his money because his bank card expired shortly after he got to Africa. Fred found out if he could go to Jamaica, he could get access to his money by getting a debit card. I sent him $300 so he can get on a boat from Africa to Jamaica. Since arriving in Jamaica, he has had all kinds of problems.
Currently, Fred is stuck in Jamaica because of gangsters at the border. But Jamaica is an island.
He was living on the street and somebody put a gun to his head and he was robbed. These are some of the photos that I got from Fred after I purchased a phone for him in Jamaica. When I look at the photos, I see stress in Fred's eyes. Fred has had a lot of problems accessing his money. One time he went to the credit union and the taxi dropped him off. Gangsters got a hold of him, tied him up and beat him with an iron rod and held him there for about 3 days. And they sent me text messages that they were going to kill him. I didn't have any money. All I did was pray and sent the gangsters scripture verses from the Bible. Another time, Customs stopped him because of his ID not being legal. They held him in a holding cell. It was for about 2 months, and I had to get him a lawyer to get him out. Around Valentine's Day, he was planning on coming home. He was on his way to the airport, and he was ambushed, and they stole his debit card, his money, and his food. The gangsters took $100,000 from him. They spent it on jewelry. I was upset too because he was excited about coming home and going to a Valentine's dinner with me. Now he's living in Kingston, Jamaica, near a grocery store on the street. I have kept Fred alive for the past 2 years. I have probably sent Fred $10,000 to help him. I send money to Fred through cryptocurrency. The closest crypto machine is about 3 hours from my house. At this point, I am desperate to get Fred home. That is why I contacted Dr. Phil again. I don't know what to do.
Well, please welcome Lois. And also joining us virtually is Lois's daughter, the very frustrated Candace. Candace, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm okay. You have steam coming out of your ears. We can see it on the video. Lois, it's good to see you again, by the way.
Thank you, Dr. Phil. I'm here to save Fred's life. I'm in desperate need, and I really need to save his life.
Yeah. And
he's my fiance.
right.
And I need to get him home from Jamaica and get him out of his misery and my misery. It's been 2 years trying to get him back to the States. He lives in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And I need your help.
Why have you not gone to Jamaica?
Not for what he's been through. I wouldn't want to go to Jamaica.
Even though the man you love is in Jamaica?
He gets right there on the border.
There aren't any borders. It's an island.
In my eyes, Fred is my world. He is definitely what I look for in a man. I don't feel like Fred is a scammer at all. He's been a wonderful person that has had bad luck. When Fred comes home, we would love to retire. We have talked about buying a house close to Oklahoma City. Fred and I are engaged to be married. He calls me his wife. I call him my husband. I can't wait till all this drama is over.
You've known Fred, what you call knowing Fred, for how long now?
2019 of October.
Okay, so to October 20 and 21, and now we're into 22, so it's been 2.5 years,
About
maybe
2.5
almost.
years, yes.
Okay. Does it strike you odd at all that in 2.5 years you've never seen this person never met him in person?
I've seen a photo of him when he was, as soon as he got to his construction site in Africa, he sent me a photo of him on a construction site,
but you've
and I
never
lost it out of my phone.
But does it seem odd that you've never met him? I mean, we're in a world where people travel pretty freely.
When I met him on Match, He was going on a business trip to Africa to do a building and construction, a bridge site. And after he got there, he was good for a month, and his bank card expired. That's what happened to him.
But now
and
answer
that's
my
why
question.
he began to have problems.
But does that seem odd to you?
No, because I have contacted the bank myself. It's a main
I'm not
a
asking
main
about the bank. I'm asking, does it seem odd that two adults in a free world have never been able to get in the same room together?
No, not in a way, because he was excited about getting this contract going over there
Okay,
to
never
Africa.
had a Zoom, never had a FaceTime?
He was so excited to leave before he got on his trip.
But in this technological world that you've never been able to get a FaceTime where the two of you were talking.
His phone got stolen when he got to
In
Africa.
2.5 years, never been able to get a phone where he could sit and talk to you like we're talking now, like we're talking to Candace. I mean, you see Candace up on the screen. You've never been able to have that kind of...
I understand that.
That doesn't seem odd to you.
Not everybody has that kind of phone. I don't know what kind of phone he had, but I know he was so excited when he left because he got that contract to Africa, and then his bank card expired.
But
and
you
the major
understand
bank, it was a major bank, and I had contacted that bank personally, and they would not help us unblock his bank account. They told me there was nothing they can do
But you
to help
understand
him
they sell
until he came to the
smartphones
United
and Androids
States.
and all in every country in the world. They sell them in Nigeria. They sell them in Jamaica. And why have you not gone to Jamaica?
I don't desire to go to Jamaica. Not for what he's been through. I wouldn't want to go to Jamaica. But
Even though the man you love is in Jamaica?
he's right when he gets right there on the border. This is a problem. We've had 2 bank cards, and I got one sent from the credit union to Jamaica, and after they sent the customs we had to pay to get it released out of customs. First, we had to get his ID updated with the credit union.
There are tens of thousands of kids spring breaking in Jamaica right now. There aren't any borders. It's an island. There aren't any borders. It doesn't border any country.
Well, I don't know. What I'm saying is the gangsters, they get hit. I don't know if they have connections with that credit union. I cannot get him home. And he gets his debit card stolen before he even gets it,
But
any money.
we have to deal
home.
with some facts here. There aren't any borders in Jamaica. It's an island, so there aren't any borders. There's just coastline. Robin and I were within spitting distance of Jamaica the day before yesterday.
Yes.
There's no restrictions
I
to
might
travel in
understand
Jamaica.
that. I don't know. He can't get home, and he gets him upset.
Oh,
He
well, we
wants
don't
to-
want him upset. Has it occurred to you that the man that you're in love with is a highly incompetent traveler?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, in 2.5 years, he hasn't been able to get back to
All I'm here is
Oklahoma.
to try to save his life.
Has it occurred to you that the man that you're in love with is a highly incompetent traveler?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, in 2.5 years, he hasn't been able to get back to
All I'm here is
Oklahoma.
to try to save his life and trying to get him back to Oklahoma.
Well,
where he
here's a
lives.
list of Fred's excuses for not getting back home. He's lost his phone. Turns out he had an old ID. He's on the streets down there, and he's been robbed at gunpoint. He's been dumped by a taxi company, beat up by gangsters on the border. He's been tied up with a rope. He's been beat with a tire iron. Customs have stopped the taxi. He's been ambushed on the way to the airport. No access to money. Money has been stolen. He's not eating, and he has an expired visa.
He bought a visa and expired because he had 30 days to get out of there before we could get out of there. Last time we went to the airport, it was right before around Valentine's, and he was so excited. He thought he was going to get to come home, and they ambushed a taxi, and that's when they stole his debit card. And before he could get that debit card stopped with the credit union, they had took $40,000. He called them up, the bank, and they said they took $40,000 out. And he had originally wired $100,000 because he was going to surprise me with $100,000. and come home. And
That would have been a surprise, wouldn't it?
well, it would have been a surprise,
great
but
surprise if you
anyway,
showed that.
the credit union, he called to get that debit card stopped after they stole it, and they did not stop
How
that
quick
card.
did he call? Like same day?
No, because it was a holiday. He didn't get stopped till later. And they said the credit union told him it was $40,000, and they told him they stole jewelry, used it for jewelry, his money.
Okay.
And then when he went back, they supposed to stop that debit card. Then the other $60,000, he thought he had $60,000. So he went back to the credit union thinking he's going to come home, and his visa was good and everything. And when he walked into the bank, they said zero balance. They had taken the remaining that he had in his account that he had wired from Oklahoma.
Huh. Well, Lois says Fred won't tell her his exact location in Jamaica due to security reasons. But he did share the name of a grocery store that he's located near. So I've got staff and investigators all over the globe because we're an international show. And I sent one of my staff people there to find out exactly what was going on with good old Fred. And we're going to show you what we found out right after the break.
Dr. Phil, I'm in Kingston, Jamaica. Lois' fiance, Fred, claims that he is living in the streets near the Ava Wholesale Limited grocery store. I've looked it up on the map. Let's see what we find out. Have you seen this man? Wanted to know if you've seen this man. Have you seen this man?
Well, we're back with Lois and her daughter Candace, who first sat on this stage over 2 years ago discussing Lois's online relationships. It wasn't just Fred, there was also the General and Paul. And Lois says since then, not only has she continued talking to her now fiance, Fred Adler, but she has been keeping him alive for the past 2 years. Candace, this has to be very frustrating to you. You're having the same conversations with her I'm having, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've even asked her, she's talking about a credit union now, but the last time we were on the show, Fred was stuck in New York because he couldn't find a Bank of America.
And there are 103 Bank of Americas in New York, in
Right.
New York City there. So, I mean, you can't.
I don't know how you couldn't find one.
Well, you
unless
can't
just
sling a
were
cat over your head without hitting a Bank of America in New York. They're on every corner. They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Yes.
Now, you say that Fred traveled from Africa to Jamaica.
I got him by boat.
Okay, it took him all day to get
$300 to go.
How much?
The reason why he went to Jamaica because he figured he could get access to his money with the credit union. That's what he was told.
Yeah.
So
okay.
we can get you a debit card.
Okay, you can't filibuster here. You have to be, this is a Q&A, so you have to be responsive to some questions if I'm going to be able to figure out anything here.
Uh-huh.
He went by boat.
Yes.
It took him all day. And it cost how much?
He said $300 that he got to go.
$300. So he came out of the Port of Lagos and went to the Port of Salt River in Jamaica. That's Kingston. So somewhere in Africa, we're not exactly sure where he boarded, but it took him all day and cost $300. Now, the distance is 7,600 miles, and that's 5,432 nautical miles, or over 7,000 miles, like you would drive in a car. And the average cruise ship, if they were really fast, they would be going 20 knots, and that would take 11 and a half days. Now, the fastest passenger ship in the world is out of Tasmania, and it is the fastest ship in the world, number one, the fastest ship in the world, and it goes 58.1 knots, or 66.8 miles an hour. That's the fastest one in the world. And it doesn't have anywhere near 7,000 mile range. And if he took that, it would take days to get there. I mean, that ship won't go that far, but that's the fastest ship in the world. Now, you say he got on a boat
I do.
and he got there in a day.
I think so. It didn't take him long
you
to get
can't
there.
change your story whenever you're faced with facts that just throw the flag.
It didn't take him long to get there. I don't know.
Well, you said it,
Yes,
and
I
you
did
don't
say
get to
that.
change your story
I did
to
say
fit
that.
the facts. The facts are you said he got there in a day with a $300 ticket on a boat.
Right.
And there is not a boat on planet Earth that will get somebody from Africa to Jamaica in a day. Or 2 days, or 3 days, or 4 days, or 5 days, or 6 days, or 7 days, or 8 days, and he contacted you from Jamaica the next day. You talked to him in Jamaica the next day, correct?
Yes, he was happy he arrived there.
Oh, so happy.
Yes. He thought
Because
he was
he
going
had
to
just
get-
done time travel. You can't get from Africa to Jamaica in a day on a boat, Lois. Now, come on. At some point, I understand that you want this to be true, but at some point you have to acknowledge when you are being bald-faced lied to. Lois says that arriving in Jamaica last year, Fred Adler has been attacked and critically injured and is now homeless in Kingston. So what happened when I sent a staffer there to find Fred?
Situation.
You
I know that
you say
he's
you don't know
in-
the situation. You don't want to believe the situation. You cannot get from Africa to Jamaica on a boat in a day.
Okay.
The fastest boat in the world goes 66 miles an hour. It's a Tasmanian boat, and it won't go 7,000 miles, but it couldn't get there in a day.
Okay.
So how do you explain that?
I don't know. I just know he's
Lying?
He's in Kingston, and I don't know what to tell you. I'd like to get him home, if all possible. I don't know what to do. I'm at wit's end is trying to know what to do to try to get him back to the States.
You cannot ignore the fact that he has lied to you about going from Africa to Jamaica. He didn't do his homework. I did. I know how fast boats travel. He
Right,
would have
his
had to be
travel
going an
is very
average of
slow,
334 miles an hour on a boat. Now, let me tell you, if you're going 334 miles an hour on a boat for 24 hours straight, that's a fast boat.
Yes, I understand.
Drag boats don't go that fast.
I don't know. I'm just here to try to save his life and get him out of his situation. I don't know what to do, Dr. Phil. I've tried and I've tried to get him back to the States.
Okay, well, Lois says that arriving in Jamaica last year, Fred Adler has been attacked and critically injured and is now homeless in Kingston, which is the capital. And Lois says Fred won't tell her his exact location due to security concerns, but he did give her the name of a nearby grocery store. So what happened when I sent a staffer there to find Fred? This is a specific grocery store in a specific neighborhood in Kingston, Jamaica. Here's what happened.
Dr. Phil, I'm in Kingston, Jamaica. Lois believes that her fiancé, Fred, has traveled from Africa to Jamaica by boat. Since being here, he claims that he has been robbed, abused, made homeless, and is now living with an expired visa. The only information that Fred has provided us as to his whereabouts is that he is living in the streets near the Ava Wholesale Limited grocery store. I've looked it up on the map. Let's see what we find out. As you can see, the Ava Wholesale Limited is here right behind me. Let's go inside to see if anyone has seen or heard of Fred. I'm with a frequent customer of Ava Wholesale Limited. Have you seen this man?
No, darling.
You've never seen him in the area?
No, darling.
I wanted to know if you've seen this man. He goes by the name of Fred. No, you have never seen him. I've spoken to the owners and workers of the Ava Wholesale Limited. Though no one is comfortable on camera, they have confirmed that they have never heard or seen Fred. Let's head to our next location to see what we can find. I'm here with an officer stationed in the area of the grocery store. Have you seen this man, Fred? You have never seen him. Well, Dr. Phil, we spoke with many people today in the downtown Kingston area. We spoke with them off camera, visited the grocery store, spoke with law enforcement, even visited the nearby streets. No one has seen or even heard of Fred.
What do you say to that?
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know.
Because you can't make sense out of nonsense. You don't know what to tell me because he can't get there in a day on a boat. And the people that own the grocery store have never seen him. Nobody on the streets of Jamaica around that grocery store have seen him. The police haven't seen him. He's just not there.
He said there was, I don't know, street signs. That's what he gave for his location to find him. It's where he says he's on the streets nearby.
So I sent a staffer there, and he's not there. He's never been there. This is a locally owned grocery store. This isn't like a big Albertsons or Ralph's or
right. I understand.
whatever. This is a locally owned grocery store. The people that own it said he has never been in here. We know who comes in here. He is not one of them. We talked to the police that walked the beat there. They said, this man is not living on the streets here. We know who is. He is not one of them. We talked to the people who do live on the streets there. They said, no, he's not part of our community. He does not live here. We've never seen him.
I don't know. He's been, I kind of gave him update that that he might come here, and he says that nobody's been looking for him. I don't know what to tell you.
Now, he's really destitute, right?
Yes, he is.
I reckon the reason they didn't find him on the streets is this picture's in a golf cart. Now, he's really destitute, right?
Yes, he is.
Without you, he wouldn't be alive. You're feeding
right.
him, you're taking care of him.
Like I say, he doesn't have access to his money. His money.
So you're keeping him, you said you're keeping him alive. Even in Jamaica, you're having to keep him alive.
Yes.
Without you, he wouldn't have money to even eat.
Yes, right.
Well, this picture he sent you from Jamaica, I'd like to take a look at this. A pretty nice shirt and hat. He's destitute down there. And I wonder, reckon the reason they didn't find him on the streets is this picture's in a golf cart. And these are golf clubs. So destitute Fred in Jamaica is playing golf?
I don't know. I thought it looks like it's kind of underneath a awning over there.
No, this is a golf cart. This is a seat. This is where you put your clubs behind. And if you look behind, this is also a tree that is not indigenous to Jamaica, where I've been many times. That kind of tree doesn't grow in Jamaica. This is not a picture taken in Jamaica. This is a picture of a man in a golf cart, and it's actually taken at the Pine Island Country Club in Charlotte. This is not Fred in Jamaica. This is a man in a golf cart at Pine Island Golf Club in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's not Fred in Jamaica. Now, Fred is so destitute, he doesn't have money to eat, but he's got green fees to be playing golf and renting a golf cart. How is that possible, Lois? Now, come on. At some point, you've got to stop saying, I don't know, all I want to do is get him home from Jamaica. He ain't in Jamaica. We've identified this picture. This is a golf cart in Charlotte, North Carolina at Pine Island Golf Club. You see this tree back here? Does it look like a palm tree to you?
Does it look like what?
A palm tree?
I don't know. I can't. It's in that photo there. The photo in the back there, that other photo was taken at the same time he seen it too. The dark photo. With the sunset.
Yeah, that's in Carolina as well.
I don't know.
I know. You see those golf clubs? That's a 6-iron. There's a driver. That's the top of the golf cart. That's the seat. That's a hat.
I don't know. Like I say, I do know for a fact that his bank account has been locked up.
No, you don't know that for a fact. You know what he's told you.
I've contacted the bank. He's a main bank here in the States, and they told me there wasn't anything they could do to help him.
Yeah, I bet they can't.
I don't know.
2 weeks ago, Lois called my team hysterical to request help bringing Fred home from Jamaica. Well, someone did get on a plane and is here today. Wonder who? We'll find out after the break. Unfortunately, we're out of time for today, but tune in tomorrow when Lois meets the real man in the photos of Fred Adler, face to face. 2 years ago, Lois was introduced to this man virtually, but now says he didn't look anything like Fred. Will she believe it when she sees him in person tomorrow? And will hearing from another past guest who also disregarded my advice help her see things more clearly about her online relationship?
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil. 2 years after appearing on the show,
I know for a fact that Mark wasn't Fred.
Lois meets Fred face to face.
Was this you right here?
Yes.
How do you explain this?
And
in total, I have sent him over $1,300,000.
Jane is back
You sold your house.
with a message.
You need a wake-up call.
That's tomorrow.
You don't want to miss that. Look, I want to thank all of my guests today. For more information about today's episode, log on to drphil.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and if you want more information from Robin and me, subscribe to my podcast, Fill in the Blanks, where I provide tools and techniques to spot a con artist and build a resilient child or navigate difficult relationships. You can find it right there. And check out Robin's podcast, I've Got a Secret with Robin McGraw. Whether you're looking for a secret to keeping your head up or the neuroscience secret of feeling good, Robin covers it all. Listen for free on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll see you next time.